testing to the mic, so it's really not right.
Clearly not.
Testing, mic check, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we can start. Oh no, I'm throwing myself at a couple talks this year.
Ah, there it is.
Oh yeah, no, we don't sadly. I don't have.
It can.
That's
I
pretty
don't
neat.
have that many qualifications to talk about you. So.
That's all right. Oh,
I use Vue like once.
We got this? All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Vue.js Orlando. How are we doing this evening? Oh, yeah, it's Tuesday. It's late on Tuesday. I gotcha. I am your host, Alice Hernandez, and I'm super excited for tonight's lineup. We are doing an introductory talk for Vue.js for those of you who are really curious but a little afraid to try it. And that will be by German Gamboa. Well, you know what? We're going to come up with all the pronunciations. And then followed by that, we'll have a little break, and we'll have Marco Ledesma talking about internationalization in Vue.js apps. I'm going to step off to the side and hand it over to German. Everybody please give a round of applause.
Oh, it has no wheels on both sides. Okay, cool. So we had a couple technical difficulties, but how's everybody doing tonight? Good. All right, so So I hope you guys on this side can kind of see. So if not, you guys can scoot over, I guess. Or you can watch Dwayne's feed.
Well, is your screen sharing? Oh.
My screen should be sharing, sir. Or technical difficulties.
Well, it was working, unless you changed something.
I don't think there's that many IT.
Create technical difficulties.
Anyways, we're good, Dwayne?
Well,
Maybe. I can see my face here, right?
Yeah, but your screen isn't showing it. Like, you showing the whole screen?
It's okay if he gets problems.
We should be percent.
Yeah.
All right.
The entire screen.
Yeah.
Are we sharing?
Yeah, we'll introduce. Yeah, we were talking, all of us out there one time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is working. Yes.
You're sharing?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go. Where's the percent button? All right, guys. So hopefully we can start. Technical difficulties are over. So how many of you guys have actually worked with Vue before in the past? So how many of you guys are completely brand new to Vue and have no idea what it even is? So a fair amount of both, actually. So this one's gonna be a talk more geared towards like people have never actually seen Vue or used Vue. So my goal is really to get you guys interested so you guys can go home and kind of like research it. I doubt I can teach you guys how to use Vue in 30 minutes, but you guys will at least get to see how it works. Alrighty? So a little bit about me, guys. My name is German Gamboa, technically pronounced German Gamboa, but I don't expect you guys to get that pronunciation right. For 22 years I've been called German, so we're sticking with German. Alright guys, I'm actually a developer. I'm mostly a Laravel PHP developer, but I use Vue when I do front end, which is once in a while. This is the frameworks I like. I really don't enjoy Angular, so hopefully the other people share. So why I like Vue. Alright, so Vue was actually my first framework, so I'm kind of biased towards it. I actually started using it during my experience at UCF Coding Bootcamp. I was always wanting to use a front-end library, and I was always asking, when is the right time to use a front-end library? I know I used to ask Dwayne every time I saw him, it's like, hey man, when's the right time to actually learn a library? And not just kind of like use vanilla JS. So that's when I learned it. So my experience with it at the bootcamp, I started doing a bunch of the homeworks with it because I picked it up. It's actually really simple to pick up. I also forced a bunch of people to learn it for one of the projects we had. So I kind of like grabbed the whole team of like 10 people and I was like, we're doing Vue guys, so you guys are gonna learn Vue. And one thing I really like about it is the ease of use, right? It has awesome community, the docs are awesome, and its batteries included. When you use the Vue CLI, you kind of get everything in one little spot. You can actually set up your project pretty simply. And have you seen a Vue file? It's really just beautiful. You have everything in one file. So no need to go ahead and argue about how to style a component. Everything's there. All right, so what is Vue anyway? So I took that from the docs. It's really like your normal like definition you would see whenever you look at a dictionary or anything. But I just want to kind of point out a couple things about it. So, oh, by the way, guys, if I'm talking too fast, slow me down. I do have a habit of talking fast when I get nervous because it's a lot of you guys. So,
We're amongst friends.
yeah, but I still get nervous.
We listen.
We can echo if that makes you feel better.
Huh? Either way. Anyway, so the main thing about it, it's a progressive UI framework. So what does that mean? Simply, what does that mean? So simply, it's a tool to get data on the screen for a user to interact with. I guess that's a good way to boil down. Obviously, it's a leaky abstraction, so probably missing a couple details there, right? But anyways, couple use cases for Vue. Obviously, single-page applications, progressively adding components, so aka widgets. So some of you guys, if you guys use Laravel, it's pretty common to kind of like just inject little pieces of functionality into your templates using Vue. At least that's how I use it a lot. And it can be packaged to a framework within a framework like Next.js, which I actually haven't used. I was kind of looking at it in preparation for this talk, so I really don't understand how that works. But from what it seems, it's like a framework within a framework. All right, so one thing I'm going to start off to show you, the way I'm going to start off by is by showing you guys how to use Vue progressively. So this kind of like adding it to like a simple little project. Such like imagine let's say you wanted like a cool suggestions widget, right? Something gets to search suggestions. So I'm gonna try to do a live demo with this and try to talk to it. So please feel free to stop me, guys, at any point and ask questions, really. All right, so let's try this. So I guess what's the best way to do this? So normally make it bigger. Yes, I can. So let's close this. All right. So imagine you guys have here a cool blog, right? This has a lot of content. This is already like a thing, HTML file you guys have. Let's say we wanted to inject a little bit of functionality, some couple suggestions about some products you might be selling or promoting with your blog. So I'm gonna show you guys how we can go about that with Vue, right? And this is not bringing in anything with like NPM or anything. We're just gonna go ahead and grab everything straight from the CDN. So first thing you guys can do is initialize the Vue. So we can just go ahead and set up Vue initially, right? So a couple things I like to refer to, and I'm gonna keep referring back to because it's awesome, and I think it's the best way to actually kind of pick things up, is just referring back to the docs for the framework. So getting started. So hopefully it's not cheating just going back to them, but basically right here is the perfect example of how to get started. Really, at the end of the day, you just want a place to inject your stuff, and you set up your Vue instance, right? So let me show you how we go ahead and do that in Vue. So let's say we have our cool blog right here, everything's there. We're gonna go ahead and put it in a little div. We're gonna go ahead and put in our cool suggestions list we're making. So let's go ahead and get that set up. So we're gonna call this cool suggestions thing, I guess, suck at naming thing. So we have a little div there where we can actually inject all our content in just a second. So next step, we'll be going ahead and setting up our Vue instance. So what is our Vue instance? It's the little instance where everything in Vue runs. So let me show you guys real quick how to set it up. So we're going to be calling new Vue here. So this little section right here is just setting up the new Vue instance. You're kind of passing your Vue object, I guess you could call it, which is just really just a plain JavaScript object, nothing fancy about it. So first you want to tell it what component to render in. So that's what the EL is. And we're going to go ahead and hook into that by using the ID. So we have ID selector, and we call it suggestions thing, right? Cool. So next thing we want to go ahead and do is add some data in there. So one thing I'm going to show you guys is how to like actually put data in here that's going to be held within this Vue instance. So let's go ahead and do that. So we can have a data component, a data object here, which is again, it's just a plain JavaScript object, and let's call this have a title for a suggestions thing, right? So let's give it have a property in our data object called title, and let's call it cool suggestions. Right. So how do we go about that displaying inside? How do we go about displaying that data property in our little div right here? Well, all we really have to do is go ahead and do an h2, and we can use like a mustache type syntax to go ahead and inject that into our page. So all we got to do here is go ahead and give this title. So this right here is going to go ahead and grab the data that's here and just inject it into the template. It's into the template. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we'll actually go ahead and show you guys this. So live server. Open with live server. So we have that here, right? So before now we have, let's open this up. So now we have our cool, like our things starting to take shape. We have our cool suggestions right here. So if you guys want to check, once it actually renders into HTML, you'll have your title right. Zoom in. Oh yeah.
We don't have your incredible eyesight.
I wish I had incredible eyesight. I don't actually. I'm mostly blind. Is that good? Wait, why is it bigger on my screen, but it's not bigger here? Another, there it is. To actually suggest. This will actually show you. So I have a little suggestions right here. So power with reading the file. In there and show is add something to our data property where we're going to eventually put all that JSON object in there, right? So let's call it our list. You have to name it ahead of time and kind of tell it what it's going to be. It's going to be an array. Otherwise, Vue is not going to pick it up, and it's not going to pick it up. Your screen, your screen. All right. So let me ask you guys, how do you guys should go about pulling? Yeah. Yeah. It's where ready. Kind of side back. Actually, just one way we can go about it, since it's already a object that's inside. So this list that's inside this object. Does that make sense? I know this can be a bit confusing.
Does it still work with an arrow function?
Yes. Well,
That's what the arrow function is for.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the arrow function's for, so it doesn't change the scope. This right here works for arrow functions. There's different things, sections in Vue that will not work with arrow functions, so such as your normal methods, which I'll show in just a second. So we can go about here. Let's go ahead and quickly save this, and we can go back over here. And of course, there's nothing rendering the screen right now, but the cool thing is we have the Vue developer tools installed on our computer, so we can see what's actually with a Vue instance. So we go and click into it. We'll see we actually have now, we have data on our list. So we have elements added to that have been added to our list. So we have our suggestions here. So we can now go about rendering to the screen. So somebody mentioned the before. So yes, that's how you actually go about rendering a list to the screen, or rendering a list item to the screen. So but the way we can go about that here is we can just go ahead and add a on order list, and then we have an LI, right? So you have your standard LI, and what you can do inside here is add a Vue directive. So Vue has these things that are called directives. Is anybody familiar with Angular.js?
Yep.
Yeah, so basically same directives that you would use in Angular.js. They're very, very similar to the ones in Angular. Basically Angular.js is like proto-Vue, if it's a way to think about it. So we'll just go about rendering that in there. So again, the cool thing is that Vue will take care of handling all their putting the fact that it will take care of handling the putting of all their data inside that little div that we're calling our Vue template. So we can go ahead and do a normal before, so we can have items in list, and then here we again use our must-have syntax to access those items. So
It's almost like
item list.
iteration. This reminds me of iteration methods in JavaScript. This before does.
Yes, it's exactly
It's almost
exactly the same thing. There's a little stuff different about it, but with that we can actually go ahead and go back to our thing over here, and we see we actually have all our stuff in there now rendering. Obviously we haven't broken it down of the object it's in, but it's just rendering the objects straight ahead. Right? Any questions about how to render things like lists on the screen?
Chat room down a little bit.
I knew someone was gonna say it. Who was it?
Well, I don't want to say the name.
Oh yeah, fine. I'll slow down.
Find that person.
Yeah. There's not that many of us in Orlando.
Don't forget, we're gonna tell us more about lifestyle.
Life cycle methods? Yes.
Excuse me, lifestyle.
We're going to go ahead and look at those in just a second. Let's just finish with this live demo. I know it's a lot of information flying out all of a sudden, but we'll go ahead and go into a little bit more details. More of the details in a second.
And also, is Vue more opinionated than React?
Yes, it is in a sense.
It has an opinion.
Oh.
Is
Vue more opinionated than React?
No.
No.
Well, how would no? Yes,
I
no.
would say
Okay.
Well, we can start
This
like
is a
a
whole
complete
different-
argument here, but
We can meet outside after the meetup.
we can go in the parking lot after the meetup, guys. So here's how we go about rendering this. And I got completely distracted with this.
Not fast. You can slow it, you can redo it. And
Yeah, you can like in YouTube once it's up, you can go ahead and half speed and then it'll go fine. No, but thank you I'm actually happy somebody told me to slow down because I know that's like my worst habit. So cool thing we can do in here now that I'm completely distracted is we can still access this as if it was a normal JavaScript object. So we have item, and we know inside of item, if we go back to our Vue instance right here, we have, it's item, great. So it's item, and then we can actually just go ahead and filter down to that list. So as you guys notice right here, there's a rating here. So next thing I want to show you guys is how to filter stuff really simply, right? So obviously we don't want to display anything that's too low of a rating, in this case the iPhone 9000. It's not good anymore, so we really don't want to display it to our blog readers because otherwise they'll lose trust in us. So let's go ahead and filter that out. So I'm going to show you the way most people would actually... Yeah. So the way most people would actually go ahead about filtering, which is like kind of the naive way, which is actually doing it in the template. So if you guys are used to using like maybe Laravel, like Blades and Laravel, Twig, EJS, whatever, you could, normally we'll do like something like this, right? You'll go ahead and add another directive, which in here we have called something be-if. So yeah, what am I doing? So be-if, and if whatever expression we're putting here is true, it's gonna render. If not, it's not gonna render, right? So we can do like be-if, so we have item and we have rating. Is it right? Rating, and if it's let's
Rat-a-tat.
so basically, we'll go ahead and look at it, evaluate that expression. If it's not true, obviously it's not going to render the component. Yes, we also, since we have be-if, we have be-else if and be-else as well. But this is something I would you would do like in your first time doing it, right? Kind of a naive way you put it on your template, and that will go ahead and take care of not showing the iPhone 9000 anymore because its rating is not above 1. But there's actually a better way to do this, guys, and there's something in Vue called computed properties. So let me show you guys how to do that. So what we can go is we can go back into our Vue instance right here. We can add something. We can add another object here called computed. Computed. And this is an object, and in here we can actually add functions, and then we can call those functions in our template, and whatever those functions return is what will actually get rendered to the template. So we can use this to basically do what we just did, which is filtering things out. So let's actually go ahead and get rid of this right here, and let's actually do this right here. So what we can call this filtered list. And this is a function. And no, we cannot use arrow functions here because this then wouldn't work. So we can return just our list right here. So this dot called it this, right? List, and then we can.
What would be the case use for using computed properties opposed to methods?
Well, main thing is if I would use it for anything, and you have to render or cache, because computer properties actually cache. So unless their dependencies change, it's not going to force that thing to recompute or re-render on the screen.
Okay, so we have to rerun for methods, but not for.
Yes. So if we did this and we kind of kept changing things, how more data I could show. Let's say if we changed the title, it would recompute that. It would recompute. In this case, it would rerun the filter. Since it's computed, it's not going to go ahead and do that because it's cached. So we can filter this item right here, and same thing, rating. So we said if it's less than 1, we don't want to display it. And okay, cool. So we go back. Oh, it's back. So because we actually haven't called it. So what we have to do here is we actually have to call it as if it was our list. We can just call it right here as our filtered list. And ta-da, it's gone again. Because now it's actually a computer property. And if we go over here, they technically work as props or as things like that. Well, you have it right here as your computer property, and you can actually see what it's actually returning here. Any questions so far? No? Okay, cool. Last thing I want to talk about when it comes to actually this little demo is just talking about normal methods that you would do in Vue. So again, so it's cool thing about Vue is just you have an object, and then you can put stuff, and you have properties inside that object, and that's pretty much it, right? So you have you can have methods. And this you can have, it's just an object here. You can put functions in here you want to call from your Vue instance. So just as another example, since you mentioned it, I'm going to go ahead and just do it here. You could do basically the same thing, although you shouldn't, depending on your use case. What am I missing here? Yes. So you can basically do the same thing, but you shouldn't. You use methods for other things. So just passing them. Sorry. But again, you can kind of use it the same way. So Going back to my actual slides. So that's kind of a small demo of what Vue can do. Kind of touched up on a couple of different things. We have a Vue instance. We saw what the Vue instance was. We saw that it can have data in it. We saw we saw that lifecycle methods are a thing. We saw a computer property, and we saw a bit of examples of directives. There's actually a lot more that I can show you guys in 30 minutes. So yeah, it is a lot. Especially if you're completely brand new to a JavaScript framework, it's a lot to learn. Yeah, but there's actually more. So one thing I actually want to go ahead and talk about. Am I good on time? Just want to make sure I'm not.
As long as you need.
I was hoping I could talk fast enough to get to this cool part. I might not get to the full live demo, but at least I get to show you guys this. So, cool thing that Vue has is the Vue CLI. So basically, if you guys are familiar with React, just create React app. But in my opinion, cooler because we can actually see what a Vue file is. .vue file is. So we're gonna go through the basics of setting up a single page application. We might get to make a super duper awesome to-do list. We might not. I actually wanted to do a real-time app, but that didn't work out. I didn't have enough time to finish it. But all right, so let's try this again. So let's talk a bit about the Vue CLI and how you'd go about getting that. So you guys can actually see, right? Close, go right. So cool thing about Vue is, again, you have a whole Vue ecosystem which has like Vue CLI, the Vue router, the Vuex for state management, and it's all kind of packaged into one thing that you can just install with the Vue CLI. So if you go to cli.vue.js, you can actually go ahead and install it. I already have it installed, so let me show you guys how you guys will go about setting up a project with it. Let's go ahead and, I was doing some.
Can you zoom in on the console?
Yes, if I can get it to flow. Oh, good. How do I actually zoom in on the console? I've never actually seen it. Did you do it? No.
I guess slightly bigger.
I think you have to, in the properties or something.
Doesn't it just command plus?
You know what? Whatever. We can do it.
That's even better.
So let me make sure I'm here. Actually, so we can, once you actually have it installed, if you install it globally, you can just call Vue. So let's actually look at the example that we don't get lost. Creating the project. So one thing to always go ahead and do is always refer back to the doc. So we can just go ahead and copy here, create hello world. And then this is the way you actually initialize your Vue CLI. And from here you can kind of pick about like different features that will come with. So I'd like to always, when you select it, obviously sometimes I create a preset. So let's say we want Babel, we don't want TypeScript. So in here, one thing cool about Vue is, you know how in React you have to bring in like React router for like your routing stuff, and you have to bring in like some state management where there is X state, which I kind of used last week. It's actually pretty cool. And you have he's not here. Yeah. So or you have like MobX or Redux or whatever you want to use, but you actually have kind of like, it's not technically part of Vue. Cool thing about Vue is it has Vuex, which is made for Vue. Plus, it's the only one thing you need. You don't have to bring in like Redux, Dunk, or any other weird stuff. So we're not going to go ahead and bring this in for the example, but you can kind of set up everything here. Once you're done, enter. Yeah, done. So dedicated. I'm not going to take that for now. And it'll go ahead and install everything, and we'll go ahead and kind of set up the project for us. So, any questions so far? Have I lost anybody?
What do you like to do while you're waiting for the install?
This is the time I would normally go make myself a cup of coffee,
Yes.
or
Yes.
or doesn't happen often because I don't get to start new projects all the time. So that's why I constantly have to refer back to the documentation when it comes to using the CLI.
Have you used the Vue 3 UI yet?
Yes, I have.
You like it?
Yes.
Also, how's the performance compared to other frameworks?
Last benchmarking wise, I think it's still faster than React, or they're kind of all about the same there, except for
It's like,
there. And then you have Angular, which is like here when it comes to like times it takes to render stuff. Right. So okay. So let's actually cd into our folder. Hello world and npm. Actually, it would help out if I showed you guys what it looks like, right? So here's the folder it creates, guys. You have obviously your node modules. A public folder only that's in here is your index.html. So basically the same we had here. It needs a place to inject everything, right? Then you have your source, and actually this is the first time actually getting to see the .vue file. And I think this is like the coolest part about Vue, and it's just having one awesome file. It's not one awesome file where you have your structure on top, so you have your template on top, you have your logic in the middle, and at the bottom you have your styling, and if you want to scope this to this specific component itself, you can. So you don't have to like do any funky stuff such as style components. It is a style component.
Nothing.
So npm run serve, we'll start out for development server. Cool. We'll go into it and so basically that's the first like the template you get when you're using Vue. So just one thing I want to talk about right now is just talk about like the Vue .vue file. So as I was saying, technically right here you have your template. You can put your HTML or whatever, your HTML inside your template, and kind of like the same way we're doing over here, but you would do it inside your template, and then you have your Vue instance right here. And you can import other components, import libraries and things like that. At the bottom you have your style, and the cool thing about style is you can actually scope it, or you can actually call SSS. You can actually use, well, okay, not expecting that.
I think your screen is frozen on the TV.
Oh, it is. You know what? So many technical difficulties today. It's not even funny. But anyways, I guess I'll just and kind of end it right here. So the cool thing about what I was talking about, like over here.
You got it.
All right. So the one thing I want to show you guys, especially like just kind of how like you can actually, when it comes to the style ones, you have a couple options here. You can kind of bring in other stuff such as if you want to use SCSS or anything else. I just, my finger's not working, I need it to work anyways. Whatever, go away. Delete this. All right, so you can use different CSS preprocessors or post processors. And then here you can actually add this thing right here called scope. And then whatever styling or CSS you write in here is only going to apply to that specific component, so it's not going to be global. I think that's one of the coolest things about Vue. And yeah, kind of too many technical difficulties. So any questions so far? Kind of want to end it here.
Wait, sorry, can you reiterate that part about like the scope?
Oh, the scope? Yeah, actually, I think I'll just show you.
Scoped
Yeah, so it's going to be scoped to this specific component, and I.
with a D
Yeah, with a D.
at the end.
You know what? You are right.
Yeah, it's lag again.
There you go. Should technically be working. So so yeah, if you reckon like say you have a what would be the best way to show this real quickly? Oh, that is so true.
Now we really can't see what you're doing.
Ah,
That's fine.
that is horrible.
I do have a question on the.
Yes.
On the style, when you put the language tag there, do you have to declare that SCSS with, as a dependency in order to use that, or is it just?
Usually if you feel like you don't, depending on your setup, you might have to bring like a bubble like a plugin or a something to compile it. Depends. Just follow the errors and just.
That's something I've never seen before.
Yeah. I know what usually when I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I fully set up
You usually
one.
need .sass in order to compile it.
Yeah, but usually it comes in all kind of packaged
Yeah,
all at
the
once.
VCLI will actually look for the node SAS
Mhm.
dependency, and then based on that, it'll do magical config when you run the server.
You do have to bring it in by hand if you're using
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Laravel mix. So by hand you have to bring it in. If you're using like something like Laravel mix, you have to bring it in by hand.
But what Alice is saying is it just, it's smart.
It is very
Yes.
She'll figure it out. Okay.
smart. It's very smart and nice.
So I guess that didn't work. So anyways, just to wrap up, any questions, guys? Hopefully that went well. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you guys are interested in learning Vue. A couple of good places to learn Vue, which is my resource learning pages. Is obviously the docs. Just read through the docs. They're really good. They're really well written. You have Vue Mastery, which is local to Orlando, and they have awesome content as well. One I really liked is there's a series on YouTube called Vue the Hard Way, which is literally just a guy reading through the docs and trying to learn Vue, and then also like giving his opinion on based on whatever other software experience he's had, or like other software experiences has like, oh, Vue does this way. What are the benefits of it and what are the cons of it? So you can kind of like see it from like a neutral point of view. Anyways, and then there's then Brad Traversy has the Vue crash course, which is like an hour long crash course into Vue. Any questions, guys?
You have a question?
Yeah. Wait.
Oh yeah, back to answer this, I'm not sure, I could be wrong,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty sure you don't need to use Node SAS to load a SCSS file, you can specify it in the Webpack loader config file. And then
Oh.
You might have to bring.
It's
Think
still-
brings it
oh,
in.
you still need pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, it's
Yeah.
Yeah. You can also kind of configure Webpack.
Dependency-less Webpack. How amazing!
You can still kind of overwrite things with Webpack, and it gets kind of messy. But anyways.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.